Sorry for the late and short upload today, guys. I feel tremendously sick for no reason. I feel like hungover, but I didn't even like do anything hangover worthy. And like I went to sleep at 1 a.m. and I woke up at 1 p.m. for no reason. I have no idea why. Okay, and I'm trying to like think. Like, I don't have enough time to make any of the videos I'd want to make, so I gotta sit here and yap about something real quick. So anyways, first thing on my mind, I'm gonna talk about hypocrisy on social media in particular. Because I remember one time, me and my friend were talking, actually recently, about how morals are kind of like, like, you don't really need that many morals, okay? However, having consistent morals, those are the things that you want to have. Someone like me, for instance, my morals are absolutely horrible. They're garbage, okay? A lot of people would think I'm a horrible person, and I am. But the lackluster morals I do have, I'm gonna be standing on them, okay? You don't often catch me, if ever, slipping on something that I've said. Unless I genuinely have a change of heart, and that change of heart would be due to something that like I thought about for a while, and not just something in the moment like, oh, like, never mind. Like what I was thinking was trash, like because this new situation came up. I'm gonna completely change my mind on everything. Like no. Like when I was single, I would get on the internet, I talk about having a roster, you don't owe these situationships anything. You can lie to them completely fine. Like it was completely fine in my book. And people would always try to like throw things at me. They're like, "Oh, what if a woman was doing this? Oh, like what if a woman has a roster? What if you were on a woman's roster?" And my answer every time was, "I honestly don't care," because again, that's something that I deem to be okay. And it's crazy to me because you would think something like that would be obvious, right? You would think like obviously if I feel this certain way, it's gonna stand when you give me another situation when the same exact thing is happening. But the reason people don't think that way is because they are easily swayed. And what I mean by this is you see it all the time, okay, on social media. Like there'll be women, they'll post, they'll be like, oh yeah, like, men aren't supposed to have social media. Oh, women can do this, but if a man does this, like, like, what are we talking about? And I think men say things like, oh, women, like, if they're too in shape, like, that's messed up because they look manly, or women shouldn't get tattoos or, like, carry weaponry. Oh, yeah, and there are men with, like, for whatever reason, the body count thing where it's like, oh, like, men can have a body count of whatever, but if her body count's like 5, you're looking at her crazy. You know what I mean? Like, people are just conditioned to not stand for what they believe in, which personally, I don't understand. Like, it's very, like, I never in my life have found myself in a situation where something happened to me and I was like, oh wait, no, I'm not gonna say never, but very rarely in my life have I found a situation where I'm like, oh, something happened to me. Oh wait, I don't like that. I should stop doing that thing. Like it's a rare occurrence. I'll tell you like the one time that came to my mind where it did happen. As you guys know, I'm very stubborn and argumentative. Right now, as stubborn and argumentative as I am now, trust me, years ago, like when I was in high school, coming out of high school, it was way worse. I would never drop anything. Like if you were in person and we had a disagreement, I would disagree with you until you yielded. It was actually like I was insufferable. But the thing is, I didn't realize I was insufferable until I was talking to someone. Like it was this dude, me and him got into an argument, and I was like, wait a minute, is this what I'm like? And I was like, okay, yeah, I have to stop doing that. And even that is me more so being unaware of certain elements of my personality, okay? But when it comes to like straight like values, like I remember when I used to like post like manipulation videos, which I hate when I say used to, like back in the day when I would post more manipulation videos, people would be like, oh, like, I hope you get played because you talk about like playing people, blah, 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 blah. And the thing is, I've been in many situations where people can consider me getting played, right? However, I acknowledge that in the talking stage, I'm not really owed anything, right? So if I'm in a talking stage, I'm talking to someone, I feel like things are getting serious, and then, they pop out with somebody else. I think it's just the nature of the beast. But I've put people in situations where, we're talking and they think things are about to get real serious, and then they don't. And I've also been in situations where I'm talking to someone, I'm like, oh, things might get serious. And then they don't. But that has never changed my perspective on how those things are. Like my opinion on like, being in the talking stage with someone and like they start like interrogating you. They're like, oh, you talking to anybody else? Who? Like how many other people? After they ask you like that second or third question, you can lie because it's clear that they can't handle the truth. Like, no, literally, like in a talking stage, bro, if someone makes it clear that they can't handle the truth, bro, you don't give it to them. Obviously, being in a relationship is a different story, but like you get my point. You know what I mean? Like I stand on that no matter what side of the aisle I'm on. And it's crazy because I've talked to plenty of people where, like they talk like literally like when we first meet, they're like, oh yeah, I drag people through the mud. Like I'm always like, I'm talking to multiple people, like I make like men like crash out or whatever because I'm talking to multiple people. And it's like, okay. But then they're the ones who went, I don't know if y'all heard that car went by real fast, but it's like they're the ones who then like, when the pedal hits the pavement, when they're in the situation where it's like, oh my gosh, like I want this guy, but for the first time, like this guy like doesn't want me as much as I want him, they lose their mind. Hypocrisy, bro. Like why don't like I think the thing is a lot of people don't take enough L's outside of like dating. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. People don't take enough L's outside like the macro scale to be able to like handle like taking L's. Like I know I bring up football here sometimes, bro. When it came to football, when I got to college, when I tell you, I was getting constantly thrown around, defeated, losing like every drill. You know, like we had this like thing called a tire pull. Oh my gosh, bro. The tire pull, it's like a tug of war but with a tire. I won my first one, never won again. I went like 0-9, 0-10. It was horrible. Everyone's watching, you know, people are yelling at you when you lose. I remember one time, bro, there's this one drill where it was like a head to head and like you're supposed to like push each other like backwards. I'm not very strong. They're putting me against fucking 300 pounders, bro. But that's neither here nor there. But anyways, after I lost, like, cause it was a bad loss, this dude, he went up to me and he was like, "You're never gonna fucking play here." Like to my face, like, and bro, and the thing is, obviously, like, this is sports, like that's like a smaller scale, but like at that point football was my life, like, so that was a very tough thing to hear. But my main point in bringing up football is, yes, I lost in those ways, but also because, again, football being my life, I was losing in the macro scale. You know what I mean? I had to get called into the coach's office. He just like yelled at me and be like, "Oh, you know, I don't think you want it. Like, I don't think you want to do this." And I'm like, "Well, I do. I'm just bad at it." Especially when I developed my eating disorder. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, bro, he's like, why aren't you gaining weight? And it's like, bro, I have anorexia. Like, I'm sorry. But then obviously, actually not obviously, in case you didn't know, I was put in a situation where I ended up being hospitalized due to said anorexia, and I was not able to return to football, which is very sad for me. See, and that is a macro L, like, for my life. Like, that is the situation of football handing me an L. Okay, and in that situation, you have no choice but to take it. Like, what am I gonna do? Crash out like on like the football team? What? Also, I'm thinking about my childhood, bro. People die. Like, I had so much family members just like die. Like, that's taking an L. Like, just like to life. My father abandoned me. That's taking an L to life. You know what I mean? As much as I, you know, I kind of like the concept of, you know, fathers abandoning children and mothers abandoning children, you know, if that's something they want to do, but it does tend to be the fathers. But that's neither here nor there. My point is, I was handed enough L's to the point where getting like a dating L doesn't really feel like an L to me, because there's so much more to life. And that's why I never understood, you know, whenever I was under fire for something, when they're like, "Oh, what, you were talking to someone and you like ghosted them? How could you? How could you?" It's like, bro, no, like, people die, like, in real life. Like, bad things happen to people. Like I'm sure, like, when I tell you, I wish the worst thing that ever happened to me was dating related. But like, for some people, like, it truly is. So it's truly like the worst thing you could possibly do to somebody. Or they've had bad things happen to them, which makes them put so much weight on dating that now dating is like just the most important thing in their life. And you will always lose. You will always lose if like dating is like your biggest thing. Like, if you want to revolve your life around like a romantic situation, especially when you're not even dating, like, it's never going to end well, simply. So it's funny, some people, like, you know, they have like, you know, the roster, like, they get involved with a bunch of people to kind of like rectify that. But then when they're put in a situation, like, that's why I'll never understand when it's like you have big roster, you have whatever you want, someone who's like rank 4 on your roster moves on, and you like genuinely lose your mind over it. Now, trust me, I've been there. It's a sad moment. But I mean, as far as like blowing up their phone, like texting them, like, hey, where you going? Where you going? Like, come on now. You know what I mean? Like, we can't be doing that. And it's like, when people have that kind of hypocrisy, bro, it's always like a dog whistle for like certain other things going on. You know what I mean? It's like, why are you okay with this when it's for you, but like not this when it's against you? You know what I mean? Like, you just have to have consistent morals. And something I see it a lot with on the internet: homophobia. Like, everyone, quote, not everyone, like, let's say just like 50% of people against homophobia. I feel about like 80% of those 50% have at some point used like the term gay to like insult somebody. You see it all the time with me, okay? Women in particular. Like, you know, like, they're big allies and everything, but then all of a sudden when I do something, I'm an F slur. You know, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, boo, like, you're gay, like, this is why you're like this. Even gay men themselves are on that type of timing. And I'm not gonna, I feel like that's more of a red flag than someone just straight up being a bad person. Like, I would much rather deal with someone who, like, from the jump is like, oh, I'm a homophobic person. You know what I mean? And that, like, they always like just hate on gay people. Then someone be like, oh, like, I'm not homophobic, but like, when it comes down to it, like, I'm gonna call you the F slur. I'm gonna slander you and call you, I'm gonna call you gay as an insult because like I'm angry at you. Even in the indirect ways, you know, like, even when they're just like, oh yeah, like, you know, the reason these men are misogynists is because they actually like men, blah blah blah. Like, that's still homophobia. So it's like you're standing like with like, again, like the gay people that you like, right? But then when you think someone else is gay, like, you use it as an insult, right? Which, if I was one of the gay people in their life, I would feel so uncomfortable with that, you know. And like, my take on fatphobia the other day, and again, a lot of people don't like this, and again, I'm a horrible person, I don't care. I'm against fatphobia in the sense of just like publicly dragging fat people for being fat for no reason. You know, like say a perfectly nice guy just happens to be a bit more rotund, and you're like, hey man, this guy's fat, boo. That's a bit wrong, okay? But like, if you get into an argument with someone and they happen to be fat, and you bring that up, I don't see anything wrong. But here's the thing: despite that, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I'm never gonna call a person fat. Like I simply can't do it because I know me. I know I'm very observant, and I know I like pointing things out. I can't sit here and tell you that I'm not gonna do that. But also, what I do is I acknowledge I'm a bad person. Because first thing comes to my mind, someone like Dave Blunt's. Bro, I hate Dave Blunt's. That's partially due because he's like very like homophobic. He's just always like smiling all the time, and he's just fat. Okay, like he's too big. But see, like that's something I'll do. Okay, however, you know, in other situations, I'll try my best to refrain. You know, like say Dave Blunt's was like a really nice guy. I would try a bit harder. I don't know if I'd succeed, truly, but I would try. Okay, but think about Dave Blunt's, bro. You gotta see how big he is, bro. Yeah, bro. Like, because hold up, I'm googling it. No, I'm Bing searching. I don't like that I use Bing, but yeah, I'm looking them up right now. Like, look at this, bro. Like, look, if someone's this big, I'm calling them fat. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Like, not like again, like I'm not gonna try to like say he was a perfectly nice guy. I'm gonna try like not just like unprovoked, like boom, boom, boom. But it's like, bro, if you ask me, like if it comes up in conversation, I'm not gonna be one of those people to like pussyfoot around like the word. Like, nah, bro. Like it's a big guy. But also, I'm a bad person, okay? You gotta remember this. And that's why it's okay. It's okay to be a bad person. That's the thing. And that's another thing, bro. People are very weird about their morals as far as like if you attack someone's morals, they freak out, bro. Like the way people act, you would think like if I call you like a bad person, like you would be going to jail or something. Like, no, like, bro, if you're a bad person, you're a bad person, okay? Let it fly. You know what I mean though? And same thing with like, again, like the other day when I was talking about being assaulted, bro, it's always, oh, believe all victims. But in that context, like when I was like quote tweeting that woman, like a bunch of women were like, oh no, boo, I don't believe you, or like they just like don't care. The problem is in totality, because I'm gonna wrap this up, a lot of people just aren't who they say they are. You know what I mean? And that's something that really bothers me. So when I see things like virtue signaling, grinds my gears, grinds the ever living crap out of my gears. Like literally the other day, bro, it's actually insane. There was this post, right, where someone like those content, oh my gosh, yeah, I gotta talk about this. You know those content creators that go around like beating up people, like beating up like predators, you know what I mean, who are like going to talk to kids. And like lately, like they've been doing like a lot of like weirder stuff. Like there was this 18-year-old who was gonna see a 16-year-old and they like literally like beat his ass. I have always been under. I thought I paused right there, by the way. That's why I went like that. I've always been under the belief that people who make content like that are a bit weird. Reason being, I feel like they don't actually like care about the kids, and it's more so like, oh my gosh, look at the crazy ways I can beat these people up. Like when I saw that dude, like he picked up the predator and like threw him in the air, and then the other guy like punched him on the way down. I'm like, bro, like this isn't natural. Like y'all are planning out these moves, and half the time the police aren't even involved. Like that's the thing. You know why To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen worked? It worked because he had them pull up. He made them look stupid within the confines of the law, and then they arrested and they went to jail. And nowadays, these people like making these streams about it, these YouTube videos about it. I feel like they literally just, for one, they want excuses to beat people up so they can feel powerful for once in their life, and also just for money, for internet attention. Not to mention, some of those guys were exposed for grooming themselves. So I think those people are ridiculous, right? And then this one dude, this one dude tweeted like a meme about those people being ridiculous. And I quote tweeted, I was like, yeah, I'm so glad that we can acknowledge that those guys are weird. Apparently the guy I quote tweeted is some like Nazi. I have no idea. This is the only post I've seen from him. I don't keep up. That's another thing that made me mad. People are like, oh, like, Bryce, I can't believe you would repost from this account. I don't know the fucking lore of every Twitter account. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If you know the lore of specific Twitter accounts that you don't follow, go outside. Okay, not even, okay, if you know the lore, that's fine. But if you're gonna assume that everyone knows, like, ooh, yeah, like this is the Nazi account, and like it would be one thing if he was posting like something that was like Nazi related and I was like reposting it, but literally he was posting like, about the people like beating up people, and it's like weird, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's something I agree with. Okay, so go outside, there's that element of it, right? However, another element of it that really bothered me is we are living in such an anti-Semitic time because of certain things going on in the world, and certain, I don't know what I can talk about on here, but certain, you know, there's groups of Jewish people that are being equated to other groups of Jewish people, even though that's not necessarily true, right? So there's a lot of people who are anti-Semitic, and there are a lot of people, I made posts about it, I'm like, oh yeah, anti-Semitism is weird. There are people who say they're anti-Semitic proudly. But then, like, when this guy's a Nazi, y'all are like, boo. When Kanye says something, y'all are like, boo, Kanye, boo. Like, how could you? Meanwhile, like some of these people on the internet are still just anti-Semitic. So it's like, again, like where are your morals? It's like y'all, some of you, so I'm not even gonna say you, I'm gonna say some people sit here and like they see what like the popular opinion is, like, oh, is it cool? Okay, so we're not okay with what Kanye's saying right now. Boo, Kanye, boo, boo, boo. Which I mean, obviously he's saying stuff like Free Diddy. Like I get that. That's just an example, okay? But it's like, oh, boo, 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 boo. But then it's like someone says something anti-Semitic, and it's like, okay, like this is the cool thing to say too. Oh yeah, woo, yeah, let's agree with that person. Oh, homophobia is bad. Yeah, boo, yeah, that homophobic person sucks. Blah 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 blah. Oh wait, this guy did something I don't like, so we can now call him the F slur. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. But oh, I'm still a good person. I'm not doing anything bad. Like this is what the good people are doing. Like it's ridiculous, man. People are utterly ridiculous. Okay, now I'm gonna have to wrap this up without editing it and then post it. So hopefully I didn't misspeak anywhere. But anyways, yeah, again, I gotta hurry up. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, everything I have to say. I love you and have a great day, night, morning, evening.